offer. Miller Argent insist they are listening to local people's complaints.
They're very important. We are taking action ourselves. We have an environmental health officer who goes down to investigate those complaints with the foreman who are actually working the site, so we can actually see whether the noise is actually being intrusive, to see whether it actually can be dealt with by some form of mitigation. But at the moment we are all within our planning conditions, but we're going beyond that because we're actually looking at works to how to mitigate it further. And the local residents through the liaison committee are totally aware about the extra works that we're doing. We're here for the long term and we want to be part of the community, and therefore we have to be seen to be addressing their problems.
What about the jobs? Are they actually local? Are they good jobs?
This is excellent for Merthyr. I mean, we've all heard the sad news about Hoover disappearing from Merthyr. You know, jobs are key for this area. You know, the employment rate is very, very low. And, you know, we're employing over 200 people, and the majority of those come from the local area.
Among them, Russell Jones. He's driven dumper trucks at Fosyfran for 2 years.
It's no different in any other industry. It's provided it's run properly, and there is no problem. No problem at all. I'm living, as I say, I moved back actually to Merthyr from Treharris, which is about 14 miles down. If there was any problems, I'm sure I wouldn't move back. A job is a job, and people need work.
Is it good money?
It's good for me, yeah. It's good enough for me.
Right next to the Fosyfran open-cast mine, this is the piece of land where American company Covanta are hoping to build their incinerator, or as they prefer to call it, an energy from waste facility, on land owned by Miller Argent. This is what one of the biggest modern incinerators in Britain could look like if it's built. And the numbers tell the story. It would cost £400 million to build. There would be 500 construction jobs. 750,000 tonnes of rubbish a year would be brought here by rail from across Wales and burnt. That would generate enough electricity to power 180,000 homes. And there'll be 100 jobs needed to run it for the next 30 years.
This is the largest inward investment in Wales for some years. So it is of national importance. I understand that people are concerned. I would hope that we'll be able to allay those concerns through the period of public consultation that we're just entering into now. You know, these plants are very clean, safe plants. They'll be good places to work.
So, why Merthyr? Covanta have been in negotiations with the Welsh Assembly Government since last summer.
Well, we looked at around 300 sites in Wales, and we whittled them down using planning criteria, basically. And Merthyr came out in the last 6 that we of that list of 300 or so. But we're also looking for a strategically located site that was rail linked to the whole of Wales. And this site came out far and away the best site that we could find in Wales.
England already has 18 modern incinerators, or energy from waste plants. One of the biggest ones is here, near Maidstone in Kent, where they burn up to 565,000 tonnes of rubbish a year. And this is how it works. Rubbish arrives by lorry and is sorted. Waste that can't be recycled is mixed up. It's then shredded. Next, it's burnt. Rubbish ends up as this. It's called bottom ash. Hot air and gases pass over pipes. They heat water, power a steam turbine, generating electricity. Gases are cleaned, removing as many toxins as possible. Fly ash going up the chimney is captured. It's landfilled as hazardous waste. What's left is released out of the chimney.
Some people's perception of these energy from waste incinerators is that they're simply a piece of metal, a chunk of metal, and a few men sort of shoveling waste into a furnace, and that's clearly a million miles away from that. This is very modern, very efficient facilities. In our own experience of these plants in the UK and in Europe, have found that very quickly people become used to the facility. They understand why it's here, and because it doesn't have a great impact on them, they really aren't concerned.
10 years ago, David Seven had the same fears as the people of Merthyr. He led a campaign to stop the incinerator near Maidstone.
One of my main concerns was the air pollution, because being an asthmatic, I worry about what I breathe. And the more chimneys around, the more you get worried.
The incinerator's been fully operational for a couple of months. Now it's here. David's had a change of heart.
Been there a couple of times and see how it's built and see what the processes are. And in my mind, it was pretty good. I've been horrified to see myself so.
Wales don't yet have any large-scale from waste plants, like the one in Kent or the one planned for Merthyr, but it does have a small one. This is Crumlin Burrows. It burns about 11,000 tonnes of waste a year, collected by Neath, Port Talbot and Bridgend councils, and it recovers material for recycling and composting. But it's not been without its problems. The original owners went bust, a fire stopped production, and there have been protests.
Tell my son now, you guarantee his life is safe and his health is going to be safe. You tell him now to his face, this plant is not going to endanger his future life.
Mike Ryan protested against plans for the incinerator 8 years ago. Today, it's a reality. He lives 300 metres from it. He took drastic action, which he'll have to live with for the rest of his life.
Back in 2002, I felt so strongly about the campaign that one of my friends done a design for me, and I actually went out and had a tattoo done, and it's basically showing the waste land all around the incinerator, the chimney, and there's a little cloud coming out in the face of a shape of a skull, turns into a skull, and it just shows the devastating effects it has on the surrounding area of the fallout emissions from the incinerator stack. What exactly are we breathing in? You know, these smells are so strong, you can taste them in the back of your throat. You know, is there anything of harm they can do with my children or, you know, my family, you know? I've had several residents who have said they've had terrible bad throats. But you know, we can't obviously prove it's that place, but it's always in the back of your mind, you know, what exactly are we breathing in?
Mike Ryan is one of 30 residents living near the Crumlin Burrows incinerator who've just launched legal action against Neath Port Talbot Council.
It's not so much the money for me. I just want peace of mind. I don't want to even know that plant is there. I want to live my life, you know, where it's not being affected anymore by the plant. What I'd say to the people up in Merthyr is they must definitely be worried, because we were concerned about emissions from the incinerator, but it's not just that now. If you're living in close proximity of the plant itself, it's horrendous. The flies, smells, it just overpowers you. It takes over your everyday life, you know. You can't relax for 2 seconds.
Neath Port Talbot Council says it and the Environment Agency carefully monitor the Crumlin Burrows site.
I think as far as our facility is concerned, it doesn't really impact on people's lives. There is a perception that in some cases that there is an odour problem, but there is odour suppression equipment on the plant, and odour is a very serious issue for us in the plant because waste is inherently a smelly material to deal with, and we're well aware of that, and precautions and suppression measures are taken within the plant accordingly.
But the council says the incinerator has never burnt as much waste as it should, and it's suing its original advisors for £54 million. Covanta aren't the only ones who want to build a modern incinerator in Wales. A company called Viridor plans to burn 500,000 tonnes of waste at this site in Cardiff. It's up to our local councils to choose a solution to our rubbish problem. So why all the talk about incinerators or energy from waste facilities to deal with our leftover waste?